Good afternoon, everybody. This is the next in our introduction to Shatterheart process, and today we'll get into the character sheet and talk about beginning the character creation process. In the next videos, we'll talk about classes and then we'll talk about lineages. Um, First thing to say is that the first thing we recommend you to do when you create a character is to create a class, because then you decide, well, what kind of member of this class do I want to be? What do I want to specialize in? And then you can choose your attributes, how you distribute your attributes, which is the next stage of doing it. That's a logical way of doing it. You don't have to do it that way. Um, um, I mean, if you're an introduction to the game, then please don't get bogged down in running through the classes and choosing the classes. That's several hours. So if you're playing at a convention or first time, probably use pre-generated character sheets, or just choose your favorite class and then get into the weeds as to what class does later. Otherwise, the session zero is likely to take too long. Okay, well, let's start now by looking at the character sheet. I'll just bring over the character sheet here by dragging it to the screen. Right, now it's a PDF file. Now you see here on the right hand side there's level. That's automatically level 1, and your proficiency buff for that level is automatically 0. Then the next two things down are your class, which you can choose here. A drop down list. It has to be pre-populated, um, so it's anchorite by default, but it could be anything, and then it's human by default. Okay, so let's say we were choosing to create an outlaw, which is our version of the rogue or thief, probably a better name, outlaw, and we choose as a lineage. You don't have to choose it now, you can choose lineage later, but let's say we were just choosing an orc, like like the illustration in the book. We know orcs are large humanoids, but don't worry about that for the moment. We'll go through size and speed and so on, and things that depend on lineage later. Okay, so we've got the main structure for the character here. You'll see on the character sheet we have basic skills on the left. We have the four main attributes here and the attribute modifiers, which are saves, below. Then your squish points, your heals, we'll come on to those, your armor category, your weapon proficiencies, and your language. So most of the key things are on the front of the character sheet, which is as designed. If we go through to the second page, that's basically what you're carrying is the second page, and your pen portrait of your class. Third page is your abilities and your class specific skills, and the final page is magic. If you're a very high level character, 15 or so, it might squeeze to fit all your spells and so on. You can just go on to other sheets. And we recommend when you write something down and it's referenced in the book, such as a lineage specific skill or class specific skill, you write down in pen and ink the page number of the rule book so you can immediately jump to that page. Okay, so we're choosing an orc outlaw. Four attributes we went through in the last video, I won't go through those, are here. So we choose beef, jock, geek, and riz. Now, remember the standard array is +2, +1, 0, 0. We'll stick to that standard array today. So jock +2, beef +1, geek 0, buzz 0. And you'll see it automatically calculates the attribute modifiers based on these. These are the same as the attributes at level 1. Let's say we just go to level 2 here. Then you have a +1 attribute modifier. And all of these go up, you see. We'll go. So these are things you add to your TS roles and your saves and skills. So these all automatically are calculated in the PDF. Certain more complicated things that depend on class, like squish points, I haven't got the JavaScript expertise to calculate that, and probably needs to be done online anyway. But this is just a quick and dirty way of doing it. So in a couple of minutes, we've got the basic skeleton of the class, and then we can start adding in the specific numbers for the lineage and the specific numbers for the class. Now, how long did it take to do? Well, if everything was automated online, it'd probably take 10 minutes. And because it's about learning, the more you learn the system, the quicker it will be for you to generate a character. I know the system very well, so I could generate, dozens of characters all up to level 20 in a day in a kind of NPC database that we're building. And I have to keep throwing that away every few months because all the abilities keep changing for balance reasons. But it's useful in creating a lot of characters to see where the problems and issues with the system are. Um, so start with how these modifiers um, affect your attributes, your basic skills. And you see the starting value for the basic skills here is um, is -2. So that's your unskilled level. See, actually, there's probably an error in the calculation. I need to fix this here because athletics there should be 0, not -2. So again, creating lots of characters, you see problems in the system that need to be fixed. So, but let's go up instead to dungeoneering. Right, now the base level is -2, so I'm untrained in that. But because I've got a level 2 here, you see that that becomes +1, not -2. So we're adding our resolve to that. But let's just go back to level 1 to start with. Um, and once you've done this very initial calculation, you then go into the class playbook and start filling in um, your skills, start filling in your abilities, start filling in your backstory. It's probably easier to do your lineage first and then your class because you don't want to duplicate. But you can do it either way. You can do your class and then your lineage. It's entirely up to you. Um, Squish points here are dependent upon class. All of the squish point dice are the same as the D&D. So, rangers have D10, druids have D8, barbarians D12. But the base levels are slightly different, and the way they scale per level is slightly different. We'll have a special video on that. The aim is to avoid, characters with 200-300 hit points, squish points rather. Um, Very few characters will have more than about 120, 130 squish points at level 20, whereas big monsters will probably have twice that. So that's one of the many ways in which the system is asymmetrical. Also, we have slightly more at first level to make the first level characters less squishy. You add 5 at level 1 and 3 at level 2 to the normal formula. Um, just go through the basic skills because Shatterheart is a skills-based system. You do everything through a skill, either a basic skill here, most of which are fairly familiar. We'll have a special video going through each of the skills later, some of which are unfamiliar, but should be fairly obvious. Telling porkies is lies, that's Cockney rhyming slang, porcupine, lie. Uh, Tend to injuries is first aid, but first aid is a modern concept. So tend to injuries covers all forms of traditional healing, such as acupuncture, herbalism, and so on. Truck and trade is trading. Romance and seduction should be fairly obvious, and so on. Most of these skills are involved in roles, but some of the skills will be passive. For example, you can have a roll for stealth, rather that's a modifier to the opponent's perception roll to try and detect you. Um, Again, we'll go through each of the basic skills in in another video. Their class-based skills and their weapon proficiency skills. And so everything is done through a skill. So if you're casting a spell, let's go to the last page of the video, of the character sheet rather. You'll see that these are the spell skills. So if you were a cleric, you'd start off in divine magic and you cast your spells through doing a TS2 spell check against your divine magic skill. If and The main modifier when you're in melee or range combat is your weapon skills. So you might have weapon proficiency in simple and peasant weapons or long swords or pole arms or whatever, and that then give you a bonus if you're skilled in that. So one of the main distinguishing features of the warrior class is that they have more skills at level 1 in weapons than anybody else. So you have a 5% on average chance of a better chance than other classes with that. You have proficiency in three weapons, rangers and paladins one, others none. From memory, it might be slightly different from outlaws. I need to look it up. But everything is done through a skill. So everything is done through a skill plus your attribute modifier. So that's all you need to know. All you need to know is what skill to use and and on the sheet should automatically add the attribute modifier. That's done for you for basic skills. You need to do it for your weapon proficiencies and so on. You use the base to strike for a weapon, then you add your proficiency here and your level bonus, and then you can work it out. Again, the moment you've got to work that out manually, the future will do that all automatically. Okay, so that's it basically. That's the foundation for starting a character. Just explain one or two other small features of the character sheet. Um, Squish points here. Hearts are squish points over 5, so often we recommend you'll run a fairly simplified damage system whereby monsters do standard damage, and that standard damage is a multiplier of 5, so you don't have to roll it all the time. Um, so you just tick off the hearts. Blooded is half your squish points. Many monsters will get aggravated when they go on half hit points. Some will run away, others will have to take a morale check. Healing scales automatically with your squish points and level. So once you've calculated your squish points, you then calculate minor heal, which is a quarter of your squish points plus your Adil level. So the higher your Adil, the more the healing affects you, including self-healing, like second wind. Major heal is a third of squish points plus a deal plus 1. So level 1 is almost always 2 higher than your minor heal. There are epic heals and so on, which is half your squish points, or legendary heals, which are all your squish points, but they're rare. Most healing effects will just be a few squish points, or minor heal, or rarely major heal. Um, um, so that makes healing a bit more powerful. Clerics a bit more powerful in the system than other classes. Where cleaning is often fairly weak. In Dungeons and Dragons, for example, it should be a little bit stronger. Healing should be a little bit more effective, rather than having to upcast healing spells and so on. Okay, so that's about it. Thank you very much, and we will the next video will be an overall introduction to the classes, and then we'll do a deep dive into each and every one of the classes on the system. Thank you very much.